So how did you spend your first hour today? I have a guest who has some pretty strong opinions about how you should be spending your first hour. He's made my life uncomfortable. He's made a lot of people uncomfortable. In fact, a packed house this morning at River Birch Lodge at our New Canaan Society. He really blessed us with his testimony. He's made major motion pictures. He has touched a lot of people on the big screen. He's raised a family, and he has written a book. And there's a whole lot between there. But I'm going to welcome to Truth Talk, Mark Cook. Mark, it's good to have you here, man.
I am fired up to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for tolerating me this morning, too.
Well, you had us going.
I was all Celsiused up. We'll give them a little plug right there at 6 o'clock in the morning. So it was great. A great group of people. And, there's power in the hour, man. Unleash it. That's what it says on the cover. Unleash it.
Yeah, I want to showcase this book a lot. And I guess it's out of print. There are no copies available. And it's too expensive for you out there. I'm just going to give you a heads up, Mark. Any of that true? Any of that embellished?
Oh, I knew this was going to be fun. This is the Truth Network Raw and Real today with Stu and Mark. Actually, we've given away to date over 500,000. And the goal's always been, you'll see it, it's not a book you read, which most men love. It's a checkoff list and some powerful prayers to get you into the real book, the Bible. And you actually complete the entire New Testament by reading only 4 pages a day, front and back, in 30 days. And there's prayers. It's powerful, but the book is free. If they go to thefirsthour.com, they just pay the shipping, the real shipping. And we love supplying churches. I'm looking for churches. We have about 200,000 in stock ready to give away. And my goal is to give away 1 million books. And then God's leading me back into the film business. Unfortunately, I got to go age some more, and do another movie.
We're going to come back to this, how it works. But can you tell me, is there any downside to starting your day with God in the Word, with your heart open in prayer, reading the Psalms, reading the Proverbs, reading the Gospels, interceding for your family? Talk real quick about the impact that has on the human soul when they connect with their Creator right out the gate in the morning.
Listen, God honors when you, and I call it tithing your time. If it's important to our Father for us to tithe the first fruits of our income, when you think as a dad, look at your children, that it would be probably just as important would be to me that you tithe and give your first fruits of your time to Him, spend time with Him. I can tell you this, testimony after testimony after testimony, you can't spend an hour a day with God in prayer. There's some powerful prayers without Him showing up. It's interesting because a lot of people, they'll be on the 7th day and God's just waiting. Let's see, is He going to take this serious or something He's just doing because He feels like it? We've had people, supernatural restorations of marriages, of fathers with their children. Yeah. And the whole thing is, this whole book was designed, if you heal the man, he can heal the family can heal the nation. It's a mess. The prayers are powerful. You heard me speak about them this morning. Yeah. The first 3 prayers, wash yourself each morning. There's 3 keys to unlock powerful, effective prayer. For the first 3 prayers in this book, and I surely had nothing to do with designing this book. I'm not smart enough. But think about this. Wash, armor, refill, war. The first prayer is asking for forgiveness for any of the sins you might have had the day before, whatever, so you're cleansed. So now not only are you righteous through Christ, as we all are, but we're sinless. And sin's a prayer blocker. It's a prayer blocker. Second prayer is putting on the armor of God. I got my grandson trained. He goes, armor up or get slaughtered. Okay? And then the third prayer is a fresh refilling of the Holy Spirit. Those 3 prayers in this book, if nobody else did anything else, and they start their day out with those 3 prayers, they will see a radical transformation of peace, how they're not agitated, how the anxiety goes away. So you can tell I'm getting fired up, man. Wow. I mean, it will fill you with joy.
Wow. And this isn't from a guy who said, I think I'll just write a book and give a bunch of copies away and touch a bunch of people. This is from a guy who has fleshed it out and has quite a story. And I talked about it as I introduced him. I'm Stu Everson. This is Truth Talk. Mark Cook is my special guest. That's Cook with a K-O-C-H, right? And he has written this book, The First Hour. He's made more movies than the books he's written. He's written 1 book. He's made more movies. He's made 7 hit lister movies and others. Okay, and he's working on a bunch right now. Fascinating that the people that are listening, watching this on our YouTube channel, which we're just getting launched, thanks to Elvis. This guy, Elvis, is in the building, and he's making this thing happen. Thank you, Elvis. So you can watch Now Truth Talk on our YouTube channel. Just Google Truth Network. You'll find us. You can listen to us on our podcast network, like and share. We want to get into your testimony, and I want to do that here, just touch on it, then we may have to carry it over to the next segment. Before this book, people see that they're like, oh, I got to meet this guy. And you get calls like that from people. You know, this foreword written by Rich DeVos Sr., he realized the power, the founder of Amway.
He's never done a foreword. I found that out there. They go, is that Rich DeVos Jr.? No, that is the founder of Amway. And I always duplicate the way he talks. I remember he saw my first copy of what I did. And again, I never had any intention of doing a men's devotional. These are 7 steps that God laid on my heart to mold and help restore me. And Rich DeVos goes, you got to give that book away free. And people, this is powerful. If you heal the man, he'll heal the family will heal the nation. A lot of this has stemmed from him, and he actually bought the first 100,000 books to give away.
No kidding.
Yeah, after seeing it. So he saw the power and the simplicity of it. You're not reading. It's really, and my buddy Mike Dillon, who got zapped by the first hour, he's like, this isn't a book. This is a book to get you into the real book. The Bible with the checkoff list. So you want to hear I got off track again like usual. It's very rare for me to get off track.
But this is kind of where I want to go. You when you start talking about the things of the Lord and what he's done in your life, you get excited. Yeah. And you're really on track. You're off track and on track at the same time, I guess, right? And of course, while we're talking about tracks, talk about Mike Dillon, Richard Childress Racing. There's a revival happening there. These guys are now, Mike's got a bunch of those guys reading this book, and they're in the Word. They're talking about Jesus. I was there yesterday at a pastor's lunch. Now, whoever thought about a pastor's lunch in a race shop, in a racing museum?
It inspires me. And, this shows you the power of like what Rich DeVos said. I remember him saying, and don't forget, Rich DeVos from Amway, he created multi-level marketing. Amway was the first.
That's right. Yep.
And he said to me, he goes, this is multi-level ministry. You got to give that first book away free. And when people get zapped, they'll buy books to give away free to people. This goes to show you. My son Blake had me send the book to Mike Dillon in 2019 when during COVID. And I sent him a book saying, congratulations, this book has, and I didn't know Mike. Well, This book's had an impact in my life, and I know you're down with the vid. So maybe, next thing you know, somebody's online ordering cases and cases. And I told Blake that one seed that my son planted, had me plant, has now turned into over 5,000. There was 1,000 last year, and then there's a new event coming up that they'll give the book out. So it goes to show you that the harvest is ripe, and we need to do our job. And what's so neat about this book, and I tell people, it's just something you can hand somebody, And the other thing I always say from being in Hollywood, I always say, if it wasn't for all those crazy Christians, I got saved a long time ago. Because usually you'd be drinking vodka tonics drunk. Hey, man, do you believe in God? No, man, this isn't the right time for this stuff. The hypocrisy. Yeah. They mean well. Yeah. So what people have seen in me, and I was a Hollywood A-leaguer, madman partier, and my testimony is Lost in Space, Saved by Grace. You've seen some of it. That God just completely transformed me and restored my marriage, restored my family. I mean, I get choked up thinking about it because it's like I owe him my life. I was on the highway to such self-destruction. I mean, yeah, my movies were big. Lost in Space was huge. But I was on the highway to self-destruction. And I'm lucky to be alive. I say that with honesty. And I'm lucky to have my marriage. We just had our 30th anniversary in January. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. We definitely have to do a petition to get streets named after my wife. And I was telling everybody, you can see, he knows my energy here. Yeah. He's like, what does your wife do? My wife, if you want to know who my wife is, just look up, just Google tolerant, and it should be a picture of her.
Wow. Proverbs 31, right?
There you go, man.
I love it. Yeah. So that's the voice of Mark Cook. He's made some movies. We're going to talk about some of those movies. He has he's run around with friends like John Candy and other famous actors. He's cast a lot of these people in his movies, and we're going to get to that in the next segment. And we're going to hear about all the Hollywood. He had the world by the tail, but didn't have Jesus, was lost, and he's going to talk about that when we come back. You're going to hear his fascinating testimony, and we're going to talk about more about how you can get a copy of this book for FREE, The First Hour, Unleash God's Power by Mark Cook. More on Truth Talk after this. Hang on, and don't touch that dial.
Truth Talk Live. You're listening to the Truth Network and truthnetwork.com.